Here at Mormo International, we love our fans. They are the most intelligent, passionate, and fiercely independent individuals on this planet. That's why we strive to bring them the very best of underground entertainment in movies, music, magic, and zines. We realize that concepts like making a profit and breaking even are old-fashioned. That's why you will receive our products for little to no charge. So join Mormo on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and always remember,
ours the magic, ours the power. Hello, Mormo here. I just got done watching a film called Angry Joe Bass on the Cult-O-Rama TV channel on Roku. And it was a pretty cool movie, just wanted to tell you about it. I thought it was neat because it was kind of a Native American exploitation movie from the 70s, like blaxploitation, but this was with the Native American, this guy, Angry Joe Bass, and he's a fisherman, just out fishing on some lake, I guess, catching fish with a net in a boat, and he's getting harassed by the cops, and there's this rich banker who hates him, and I don't really know why, but he's like always messing with him, and then the banker's daughter hooks up with Angry Joe Bass, and they're like having a relationship and like doing it, and then stuff escalates and the whole town is against Joe Bass, and there's fights and stuff, and there's surprisingly some decent violence. The movie kind of seemed to me like it was a made-for-TV movie, but it had like squibs, and some dude gets his leg sawed off with the chainsaw, and at times it's kind of like a melodrama and just this love story and stuff, and all this drama between Joe Bass and the town, and then but it also has good action scenes and good revenge themed stuff. I really liked it, and that channel's really awesome. I guess it just went live in September, but there's a ton of cool stuff on there I've never heard of, stuff I've never seen. I really was stoked to find it. I went through my channels store and added like 3 free horror channels, and this was one of them, the first one I tried, and it's a good movie. It's worth checking out. Roku is awesome, as always. It's so much better than cable or satellite. I'll probably never go back to either of those just because of the lousy customer service and the overcharging, and just Roku's been awesome. I'm so happy with it. So definitely check out this movie, and thanks for watching, and if you could click the link below this video and sign up for my mailing list, that would be great. Also share, like, and comment. Thanks very much. Bye-bye. Hello friend, I'm Mormo. Today I'm going to review the movie Blood Gnome which I watched on Netflix. And this is a really neat little movie. It's the story. It's about a guy who is a crime photographer. He works for the police and he photographs crime scenes. And he's a really accomplished photographer and has a book and everything. But he gets sent to a mental hospital because he has some like tragedy in his life. And then when he gets out, his first case is this double murder, and it's BDSM, which is like bondage and sadomasochism and stuff, where they were all tied up and they got all cut up and killed and stuff. So he's photographing and he notices something weird, and that's that there's this tiny handprint next to the body, like a little baby's handprint or something. So he leaves the crime scene. I think he screws up somehow and leaves the crime scene. And then he meets this chick outside whose name is like Destiny or something. And she says that those were friends of hers and that she's in the BDSM community, and that if he has any questions about BDSM, then he can call her. And so he ends up calling her, and then they do all kinds of crazy bondage stuff and whips and chains and all that. And then there's more murders, and what it is these little like gremlin things. They call them blood gnomes. They're these crazy looking little puppets, and when there's blood spread, they freak out and start cutting up everybody. And it's a really neat movie. It has lots of nudity, lots of twisted BDSM sex, really hot chicks, pretty decent acting. The puppets are great. The special effects are great. The gore is really good. It looks really cheap, like it was filmed on a really cheap camera or something. So it doesn't look great, but it's got a great story, great acting. It delivers everything you want from this type of movie. And personally, I recommend it. Definitely check it out on Netflix. Thanks. Hello, friend. Mormo here. And today I'm reviewing the movie Dark Shade Creek. It's a horror slasher movie, and I believe it's pretty much new. It's directed by David Mankey. Not sure where it was filmed. I found it on YouTube, and I watched it for free on YouTube. And it's a really standard slasher movie. It's almost impossible to give away spoilers because you've probably seen this story 100 times already. A bunch of kids go camping. On their way there, they talk to some hillbilly locals who warn them that there's this killer on the loose, and they go anyway with a bunch of booze, and they get picked off one by one. It's just, like I say, nothing really new here, but it was a really well-made movie. It had good camera work. It had really great camera work, actually. The acting was all very good. Every actor in the movie did a very good job, especially the hillbilly people in the liquor store and also in this auto place or the market. These people were out back, these hillbilly people, and thought they gave very good performances. And then the campers were all good, and there was several very attractive women, and they like sunbathe. And then another thing that really sets this movie apart is it has a very awesome killer. The killer design was very good. I don't know if it was a mask or makeup or a prosthetic or what, but was pretty frightening, this killer. And then um, towards the end, I was actually very scared. The climax of the movie I felt was very, very scary. And so, yeah, it was really well made. Nothing original, but pretty good film. It had good kills. There was plenty of blood in the movie. One kill in particular, I don't want to give it away, but it was something I had never really seen before, and I thought it was really well done. And they did really good work on that. But my only problem with the movie was actually the editing. It had these transfers, or what you call them, like fade in, fade out type things, that where it just kept going to black. So in between scenes, it would fade out to black, and then be just a black screen for a second, and then fade in, and it didn't really work for me. I found it pretty distracting, and um, it kind of took me away from the story a little bit. But the good news is that they're making Dark Shade Creek 2, and I know it was filming last month. They might have already wrapped filming on it. I'm not sure, but I'm really looking forward to it. It should be a really good movie. Um, really excited. So what I'd like to see in the future is like better. I can't even think of the word right now, but better editing so that it doesn't go to black all the time. And then also maybe a little more development on the character. Um, the killer took like a massive dose of LSD, so I think you could give the killer some burnout characteristics, like talking to himself and tripping all the time, like all fried out, so you could develop the character. I'd like to see the character developed a little more. If not in part two, then in part three, definitely. Kind of had a similar vibe to this movie Simon Says with Crispin Glover, and that's the route they went in that movie, just making the killer really eccentric, and that was fun too. But yeah, definitely check out Dark Shade Creek on YouTube. Uh, Very well made movie, entertaining, and also keep your eye out for Dark Shade Creek 2. Thanks. Hello, so now I'm going to review the movie Disco Exorcist. And this movie has some kind of strange synchronicity for me, because for years I always dreamed about making a haunted disco movie. It was going to kind of be like a Gates of Hell homage, where some mafia members would kill a priest in a church in order to convert it to a disco, and then the gates of hell would get opened up below the disco and all this. And then this movie came out, and one of my Facebook friends is in it. Plus, I won the movie for free from Fangoria. So thank you very much, Fangoria, for giving this to me. I really appreciate it. And I really like this movie. And as a matter of fact, this movie was even better than the one I always dreamed of making. The director and the writer did a much better job than anything I could have imagined. The plot of the movie is it takes place during the 70s, and there's this guy, and he's like king of the disco and a real stud. And this one night he goes to the disco, and he meets this red-haired woman and takes her home and has a one-night stand with her. And it turns out she's an evil witch. And then the next day he's at the disco dancing with the witch, and he sees across the room his favorite porn star is at the disco. So he immediately dumps the redhead and starts dancing with this porn star, and then the witch gets all upset and puts a big curse on him, and all kinds of demonic stuff happens after that with lots of violence. And this movie has a lot of violence, a lot of gore, a lot of sex, a lot of nudity, um, a lot of drug use. And one of my favorite parts, an actress I really admire, one of my person I'm a big fan of, Babette Bombshell, makes an appearance in this movie, and she plays the porno director at the porno studio, and she's very funny. It's a very funny scene. This movie, I don't know, I really got a big kick out of it. It's definitely adults only. I would say it would probably be an NC-17 at least. I'm sure it's unrated. It's basically a softcore sex horror movie, and it's really neat. I think because I just love the 70s too, and it really kind of has the vibe of the 70s. Really, the only thing I didn't like about it was there was some uncreative profanity, and that's kind of a pet peeve of mine with independent movies. Is it just seems like sloppy writing and kind of amateurish sometimes if there's just a bunch of F words. There's not a whole bunch in this movie, but some of it just came off as like a little bit of sloppy writing, and that's really just a personal thing with me, and I don't even know why I feel that way about independent movies, because I just watched George Romero's Day of the Dead, and that actually had a lot more profanity in it, but it didn't bother me for some reason. Independent movies, I get a little more sensitive about that and wish they'd be a little more creative, but I mean, other than just a few lines of dialogue, this movie was really awesome, and I highly recommend you watch it on pay-per-view, or definitely order the DVD. There was also a ton of previews on this DVD from different movies that the company Wild Eye released, and a couple of them were on Netflix, so I put them on my queue. There's a bunch more that I'd like to order because they all looked great. And there's also a director's commentary, which I haven't had time to listen to, but I'm going to listen to that because I think the director of this film is going to be an up-and-coming big talent. So yes, definitely buy this DVD. Thank you. Hello, friend Mormo here. I'm doing a DVD review. Check out The Emperor Wears No Clothes. I received this DVD in the mail. It's signed right there by Melissa Ballin, and she was even kind enough to sign the disc itself, which is really cool, I think. This is the kind of DVD I like to get, is a signed DVD. I'm not even that big of a DVD collector anymore, but a signed DVD will always be special to me, and worth holding on to. It's what it, and also real quick, I want to give a shout out to Alexia Anastasio, who is definitely a hard worker and very good at what she does. I heard about this DVD on her Squeaky show, and then her guest was Melissa Ballin, and they talked about a lot of things. I think they're going to be partners on this upcoming Fantastic Santa Monica movie, and so anyways, they had a little contest, and I ended up winning, and my prize was this DVD, and I couldn't be more stoked. And so yeah, it's a documentary about marijuana, like talking about the advantages of hemp and marijuana, and it would seem like it was based off of a book. There was people reading this book called The Emperor Has No Clothes throughout the movie, and really it had a very very high technical skill involved. There's a lot of infographics and animation and really good editing and titles, and just stuff was constantly happening, special effects, and so I saw a lot of quality in this movie. Um, the filmmakers worked very hard. Obviously, you can tell how passionate they are about hemp and marijuana, and for instance, the movie talked about how hemp oil could actually replace the fossil fuels, and that how ships, their sails were made out of hemp, like for many many years, and it's kind of like this miracle product. You just grow it, harvest it, plant it again, kind of like a renewable resource, and really interesting movie. And so thanks again, Alexia and Melissa. Very very happy to get this DVD, and keep up the good work. Ours the magic, ours the power. Hello, today I'm reviewing Dr. Moreau's House of Pain, which is on the Full Moon streaming channel, which I get on my Roku. And it's a really awesome movie directed by Charles Band. It's it takes place in the 30s or the 40s or something, and it starts off, there's this guy who's a boxer and these two chicks, and they're investigating the disappearance of the boxer's brother, and they find out that he had been spending a lot of money on a stripper who was super hot, naked, and then they see her kill a guy by punching him right through his head, and then they follow him, or they follow the stripper, and she goes to this old house, and they sneak in, and it's a sequel to Island of Dr. Moreau, so there's like monster animal people inside. There's this little pig guy and this big guy who's, I don't know what he's supposed to be, but he's really big and he's a monster. And the Dr. Moreau and the stripper is like part panther or something, and she's the hunter and killer, and they're doing experiments trying to fix these monsters, and the boxer and the other girl needs to escape, and it's a really neat movie, good acting, good special effects. I didn't think it was that scary, but it was really interesting, the different freak stuff that Moreau made. And if you're still doing cable or satellite, I suggest you switch over to Roku as soon as possible, and definitely subscribe to Full Moon Streaming, which is an awesome channel. It has the whole, like a bunch of the Full Moon catalog, plus Something Weird and Wizard Video, and and Blue Underground, and they just have a great selection of movies, always something cool to watch, always new stuff, plus vidcasts with Charles Band and lots of extra features like what Full Moon is known for. So definitely get Roku, get Full Moon Streaming, and check out Dr. Moreau's House of Pain. Thanks. So now I'm going to review George Romero's Day of the Dead. And this review is a request. Somebody requested I review this one. And I think this movie is kind of like George Romero's Lost. movie out of his Dead trilogy, because you got Dawn of the Dead, which is basically a masterpiece, and then you got Night of the Living Dead that created the modern zombie movie, and then a lot of people forget about Day of the Dead, but it's actually a really great film. I think it has a lot going for it. For instance, I would say it has the best acting of the original trilogy, and I'd also say it has the best special effects and gore. Um, and the special effects really stand up the test of time, and they're just as good or as even better than what's going right now, because they were practical effects. What you see really happened. It wasn't CGI or anything like that. And in this movie, you have an underground bunker, and in it there's a faction of military and a faction of scientists, and then you got a helicopter pilot and a radio operator. And I really like the subtext and social commentary of the Romero zombie films. For instance, you got the power mad military trying to exert their dominance over everybody. And then you got the scientists, and some of them are just racking up a bunch of pointless data that's not going to do anybody any good. And then you got one scientist who they call Dr. Frankenstein, who his approach is to like domesticate the zombies and make them behave well. And they're all having this huge power struggle, and in Frankenstein's lab there's just like amazing gore and special effects, and there's a lot of conflict and intense action scenes, and this is a really awesome movie. I think it's really great. I really like all of George Romero's zombie movies. Even the newer ones I think are awesome, and I hope he gets to make a bunch more. I'm a big fan, so definitely check out the original Day of the Dead. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Mormo. I went and saw Godzilla 2014 today, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a dumb, fun movie. The special effects were great. The and Godzilla looked good and everything. The thing about the movie is that I think it was dishonestly marketed, because when you watch the preview, they make it look like it's going to be Bryan Cranston versus a Godzilla reboot, when actually what it is a Godzilla sequel, similar to like Godzilla versus Ghidorah or Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, because it's Godzilla battling these other two monsters called Mutos, and it references the original Godzilla. So it was not what they said it was, in my opinion, and I think that's why it got a lot of negative reviews. I heard mixed things on Facebook. People said they hated it, people said they loved it, it was the best ever, and really I don't think any of them were right. I just think it was a well-made movie. The special effects looked good, and it delivered what you want from a giant monster movie, but yeah, it was really dumb, and I'm gonna get into spoilers here now, so go ahead and turn off the video if you haven't seen it and are planning to go see it. For one, to me the dumbest thing about the movie was that it there was a scene where the Muto monsters destroyed a city in Japan, and then it shows it on the news, and it says there's an earthquake that happened, and then the military are talking about it yeah, we covered it up so that, and then the whole world thinks it was just a earthquake, not a monster attack. And to me, that's ridiculous. Like, a city with 1 million people in it gets destroyed by a monster, and nobody tweets about it or takes a picture of it or something. Like, they can just cover up what a million people saw and nobody finds out about it. That's just dumb. And they did it twice in the movie. They said the 1954 Godzilla attack, they covered that up and kept it a secret. But I mean, how do you cover up something that has like millions or hundreds of thousands of witnesses? That just is stupid to me. And then this movie reminded me a lot of Jaws 4, where this big killer monster has like a family vendetta because the main character in it, he's involved with monster attacks in 4 different locations across the world, and he just happens to be there, and that happens to be where the monsters attack. It's just pretty ridiculous in my opinion. Like I say, very Jaws 4 type filmmaking, and so I didn't care for that either. And I thought the acting was fine. A lot of people are talking trash about the acting, but that didn't bother me. You know, it's a monster movie, so I'm not expecting like Oscar caliber performances or anything. But I liked it. It was a neat movie. I mean, like I say, it delivered. The shaky cam was very sparingly used. The camera shook only in a couple of scenes where there was big explosions or something, so that was a big plus to me in the filmmaking. And yeah, it looked cool. It delivered, so I'd say go check it out. Thanks. I'm Mormo.
Hello, friend. Tonight I'm going to review the movie Her, from either this year or last year. I'm not sure. It's a new release right now in the Redbox machine. That's where I got mine. And it's a sci-fi movie, kind of a sci-fi comedy drama. It's a little bit of everything, and it's about a guy who is going through a divorce, and he buys this operating system for his computer that speaks to him. It takes place in the future, and it's like a artificial intelligence type of thing, and it learns and speaks to him, and they end up building a relationship, and then they become boyfriend and girlfriend and fall in love. And it's a really neat movie. Director Spike Jonze is a great director, so I've been wanting to see this one for a while, and he did a great job directing it. It's pretty mellow. There's not like a lot of action or anything like that. It's kind of just like a low-key kind of mellow movie, but it's incredibly smart, and this is something I actually see happening in the future. I've kind of felt this way for a while. Right now everybody's all wrapped up and all excited about gay marriage and should gays get married and all this. But I think 20, 40, 30 years from now, probably it's going to be, can somebody marry a computer, or can two computers get married, and stuff like this. I really see this happening in the future. And I remember doing AI stuff back in the 90s, and really even back in the 80s with those old text adventures. That was a type of AI, and In the 90s, there was this movie called Swim Fan that had an AI application as a promotion for the movie. I think it was on like AOL chat, and you could friend request Swim Fan. It was some kind of like teen thriller or something, but you could friend request one of the characters from the movie, and you could actually chat with the character and have a conversation with them, even though it was all just AI. And so yeah, it's been around for a long time, and I think that it's really going to happen in the future. And Scarlett Johansson plays the voice of the computer, who I'm a big fan of. And the other guy is a great actor, the lead guy, but for some reason his name is escaping me right now. But it's a super neat movie. I got really emotional. I was like almost tearing up throughout the movie, just because it really speaks deeply about the nature of relationships and of loneliness. And I got emotional watching it. It's just really smart, like super smart sci-fi, probably the most smartest sci-fi I've seen in quite a few years. So I definitely recommend it. Check it out. I will say this though, this might be my last time I rent from Redbox, and I think they're a pretty cool company, and they give me free movies pretty regularly, but like the DVD skipped quite a bit, and I had to pop it out and wipe it on my shirt, and then pop it back in, and it's still skipped a few times. It was like $1.20 to rent. I could have rented it on my Roku for $4. And I think I probably would have rather went that route than have something that skips all the time. Like, hate to say it, but I kind of would rather just stream a movie on my Roku than rent a DVD. But I'm sure there'll always be circumstances where I want to see a new release and Redbox gives me a free movie, or I'm too poor and can only afford $1.20 and not $4. I don't know, but yeah, definitely go check out the movie Her. My name's Mormo. Please comment below on this movie. Like, follow, share. Also visit www.mormozine.com and leave a comment below. Thanks.
Hello friends, today I'm going to be reviewing the film Mandingo Sex Addict by Sean Weathers, who's a New York filmmaker, independent filmmaker, and I've seen a couple of his films now, and this guy always impresses me, and I think his movies just keep getting better and better. To me, this movie, Mandingo Sex Addict, was like an art film disguised as a sex film, and the acting and the story are seem like more of an art film to me, to where I was thinking, like, I'm sure one day Sean will have retrospectives at the art museums and stuff of his first films, and just like very artistic to me, and it also had good music, and the sex scenes were good. They're all good. Great movie. I highly recommend it. I watched it on Vimeo. Definitely worth a rental, and Sean Weathers is definitely somebody whose talent I'm like really interested in, and just really want to keep a close eye on his career. So ours the magic, ours the power. Hello, today I'm going to reviewing a movie called Night of the Living Dead, and that's Night with a K. And the movie is a feature-length trauma fan film that was shot in Iceland. And I first found this movie because of the star and director Barney was in John Angel's Vampires of Zanzibar. I thought he was the funniest guy in that movie. I really cracked up. And so this movie starts off with a puppet show about piracy, and then it goes back many years to when a Viking was fighting a knight over the love of a witch, and they both end up killing each other, and the witch puts a curse on them that if anybody walks past their remains, they'll be reanimated and come back from the dead. And so then it skips forward to present day, where Barney just gets dumped by his girlfriend, and he's pretty upset, and then he gets raped by his parents, and his father is played by Lloyd Kaufman, the founder of Trauma and the director of The Toxic Avenger, and he has a pretty funny part, so you'll want to check that out. And then Barney's friends try and cheer him up by getting him drunk and stoned, and then they go to Iceland to go fishing, and when they wake up, they walk into a forest, and they reanimate the Viking and the knight, and then they get killed one by one in really gory ways. And this movie is pretty funny. It has a lot of gay jokes. There's some really bizarre dialogue. I laughed out loud a few times, and my favorite line was one guy said, "People will never realize that leaving garbage on the street will never solve anything." And I just thought that was really funny. And I really like underground movies like this for the same reason I like underground music, is that the people who do it really need your support, and you can become friends with them and talk to them, and it's really neat. So this movie is on YouTube. You can watch it for free, and I definitely recommend checking it out. Hello, friend. I'm Mormo, and today I'm going to be reviewing the film Scumbag Hustler by Sean Weathers, and I feel extremely lucky to be able to get to see this movie. I got to see it a few months before it gets released. I guess just one of the benefits of being an online personality. So, and Sean Weathers is a really great guy who I really admire. He's a great marketer. I met him on Facebook, and then I subscribed to him on YouTube, and he's got a great podcast where he interviews like underground and horror movie directors. And his podcasts are really great, and he's got a handful of films out, and I've really been wanting to see one of his movies, so when I got an offer to review his new movie, I jumped on it for sure. And Scumbag Hustler is a movie about a man named Solomon who is a drug addict, and constantly throughout the movie he's shooting up heroin and also smoking crack. And he's also being a con artist and running all kinds of different scams and stuff, trying to raise money to get drugs. And it's a comedy. Like, I was cracking up through it the whole time, because every time he runs a scam and somebody busts out money, he gets this like bugged out look on his face and gets all excited. And then takes the money. And there was two options for me to watch. I could watch the clean version of the movie or the softcore version of the movie, so I went ahead and watched the softcore version. So there was several pretty hot sex scenes throughout the movie, like non-explicit, but definitely pretty hot, and it was really funny. I really enjoyed it. Really well made. It looked really good. The acting was all really good. The story was really good. It was just really fun to watch, and I don't know if it was filmed in New York City proper, but I know it was filmed somewhere in New York, and it was really neat to see the cityscapes and everything, and the all of the buildings and everything. And I thought it was really gutsy of Sean, because it's like guerrilla filmmaking where he films in a McDonald's and Starbucks and different buildings and stuff. I thought that was really gutsy to do that kind of underground guerrilla filmmaking. He even films at Target, which I was cracking up laughing, because I know he's got his movie on Target.com. So I thought that was pretty funny. I really got a kick out of that. And it's a totally awesome movie. My only complaint with it is that I felt it should have a like an evil white guy in it, to play off of Solomon. I'm a big fan of blaxploitation movies. I've seen quite a few of them over the years, and that's, I think, like a good key aspect to a blaxploitation movies, to have the evil white guy. So I kind of felt like this movie needed a Sid Haig or somebody to like add some I don't know what you would say, like intensity, or somebody out to get him, some evil white guy all the time. But it was a really well made movie, and I really enjoyed it, and definitely check it out, and definitely subscribe to Sean Weathers on YouTube, and friend him on Facebook and anywhere else. I think I'm friends with him on Google Plus too. But and check out his other movies too. I know he has one movie that was banned for quite a few years, and there was actually a police investigation because they thought it was a snuff film, and I'm kind of working up the courage to that one. It looks pretty extreme, so I gotta be in a place where I could handle it before I see that movie. But yeah, Scumbag Hustler is great. Be on the lookout, and definitely check this movie out. Thanks. Hello, friend. Mormo here. I'm going to be talking today about The Ghastly Ones, and this is an older movie. Somewhere in the 60s it was made, I'm sure. Like a exploitation / horror film. It's set in the Victoria era, so everybody's wearing their fancy costumes. And it starts off these two lovebirds picnicking. They go to a rundown old mansion, and they're kind of fooling around a little bit, and then the guy says he wants to explore, and this hooded creature wears a hood, kind of like the guy in Scream, pointed, or like a Grim Reaper type outfit, slashes him up real good. This movie has some definite extreme gore in it, like very effective, very gruesome, dismemberment, blood gushing everywhere, a lot of cutting off of hands and legs, and cutting open of the chest and stomach, and ripping out the guts. And then it gets into the real story, which is that there's this family, and they're all married, and they get an invitation to go to New York. They're going to have the will read at the old family home, and there's quite a bit of like not quite nudity, but lots of like side boob of women dressing and undressing, and so you're not getting full nudity, but it's pretty sexy stuff. And they all go to this mansion, and somebody's killing people, killing them all. There's like a dead rabbit, and there's this one guy who's like mentally retarded. He acts like a little kid, and like the woman who's his mom beats him with a belt and stuff. It's pretty gnarly. It's a pretty gnarly movie. It reminds me a lot of John Waters, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if this movie didn't influence John Waters. Real over the top acting and stuff, and the camera work and everything totally reminds me of John Waters. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't that long. It was like an hour and 11 minutes, I think. And like I say, the gore was very effective. The acting was fun. It was pretty sexy. There was the side boob stuff, and then the women are all wearing like lingerie all throughout the movie. I saw this on the Full Moon streaming channel. It was on the Something Weird area of the network. Full Moon has a partnership with Something Weird, and they're showing the Something Weird catalog. There's quite a few on there of the old Something Weird movies. So yeah, if you're still doing cable or satellite, please unsubscribe. It's just such a lame way to watch TV. They're not treating you right, and you know it. Cancel satellite or cable and make the switch to Roku. It's so much better. And then subscribe to Full Moon Streaming. Check out all the great movies on there. Again, I'm Mormo. Please visit my website, www.mormozine.com. Like, comment, and share. Thank you. Hello, friend. Mormo here. I went and saw the movie Wild starring Reese Witherspoon tonight, so I'm going to make a little review for you here. And the movie is about a woman who is recently divorced, and she decides she's going to walk the Pacific Coast Trail, which starts at the Mexican border and goes up through California and Oregon. It's a 1,000-mile walk, and she decides to backpack it and do a hike. And I found it to be really inspiring. She just went out and did this huge task without being filled with fear, and I also want to start adventuring and taking big trips like this. And Laura Dern was in it, and she was really good. She played the mom in flashbacks. Reese Witherspoon shows off the goods, which is always a good thing you want to see when you buy a ticket to an R-rated movie. Very attractive woman, and definitely had quite a few nude scenes throughout the movie. She also did very good acting, and it was just a really neat story. The good kind of movies that come out of Hollywood once a year. When it's Oscar time, Hollywood actually puts out some decent movies, and this was definitely one of them. And I'd like to see Reese Witherspoon and Laura Dern both win Oscars for this movie, and I really definitely recommend you check it out. Thanks. And also, please like, comment, and share this video, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and check out the description for more awesome links. Thanks.